Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, walking past your closet, and ignoring every shirt you own. Instead, you crush a red stone into powder, mix it with animal fat, and smear the paste across your face, chest, and arms. Then you carefully add black lines around your eyes and white marks across your shoulders. This is not makeup for a party. There are no mirrors, cameras, fashion brands, or social media. You are preparing to hunt, meet another group, attend a ritual, or possibly bury someone you love. So why did ancient humans spend precious time painting their bodies when surviving was already difficult? And this is where it gets weird. The answer may involve sunlight, insects, attraction, fear, tribal identity, the dead, and one of the biggest changes that ever happened inside the human mind. Ancient body paint usually began with something surprisingly ordinary, dirt. But not just any dirt. Early humans collected colored minerals known as ochre. Depending on the minerals inside it, ochre could appear yellow, orange, brown, or deep red. Charcoal could create black pigment, while pale clay, ash, or crushed minerals could produce lighter colors. Humans and other ancient hominins were collecting and using mineral pigments hundreds of thousands of years ago. Archaeological evidence suggests these materials were sometimes carried over long distances, carefully selected, ground into powder, and prepared according to traditions passed between generations. That means a red stone was not always just a red stone. It might have been valuable material. The ancient version of carrying an expensive cosmetic kit, except the cosmetic kit was a rock. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists discovered something remarkable. A roughly 100,000-year-old pigment-processing workshop. Inside shells, ancient humans had mixed ground ochre with other ingredients to create a liquid-rich compound. The shells worked like tiny mixing bowls, suggesting planning, preparation, and possibly storage. They were not simply rubbing random mud on things, they were following a recipe. But here is the frustrating part. Skin disappears. A painted cave wall may survive for thousands of years. A painted stone may remain buried underground. But paint placed on a human body washes away, and the body itself eventually decomposes. So archaeologists rarely find direct evidence showing exactly what ancient people painted on their skin. Instead, they find worn pieces of pigment, grinding stones, mixing containers, colored tools, stained objects, decorated shells, and ochre placed near human remains. Then they have to reconstruct the mystery. Some pigment was certainly used for objects, cave surfaces, adhesives, hides, and other practical tasks. But many researchers think body painting was also part of the story. So what did the paint actually do? The first possibility is simple: protection. Imagine living outdoors with no sunscreen, no insect spray, and no climate-controlled room waiting nearby. Your skin is exposed to sunlight, wind, dust, biting insects, and scratches from plants. A thick mixture of clay, ochre, oil, or fat could create a physical coating over the skin. Researchers have proposed that certain pigment mixtures may have offered some protection from sunlight or insects, although we cannot assume every ancient group used paint this way. In other words, ancient body paint might sometimes have been less like lipstick and more like a messy combination of sunscreen, bug repellent, and outdoor armor. There may also have been hunting advantages. A brightly shining face can stand out in a landscape. Dark mud, ash, or earth-colored pigment could reduce that contrast. A hunter covered in the colors of soil and vegetation might become slightly harder for an animal to notice. But camouflage cannot explain everything, because many pigments were not subtle. Deep red, bright white, and bold black patterns were designed to be seen, and that leads to a much bigger possibility. Body paint may have answered the most important question in ancient social life. Who are you? Today, you can communicate your identity using hundreds of objects. A uniform tells people your job. A wedding ring signals a relationship. A sports jersey shows your team. A passport identifies your country. A logo reveals your favorite brand. Ancient humans had none of these modern systems, but they had bodies. A certain color could show that you belong to one group rather than another. A stripe, handprint, or repeated pattern could identify your family, community, hunting party, age group, or social role. Before humans carried flags, they may have turned themselves into flags. This would have mattered enormously. Ancient people often lived in small communities where cooperation could mean survival. You needed to know who would share food, help protect children, warn you about danger, or stand beside you during conflict. Visible markings could make group membership obvious. My people wear red across the forehead. Our hunters use black around the eyes. Our group paints white lines on the arms. We do not know their exact designs or meanings, but archaeological research shows that pigment collection and preparation could form long-lasting regional traditions, involving shared knowledge, travel, and cultural connections. Paint may also have displayed status. Perhaps not everyone was allowed to use every color. A skilled hunter might wear one pattern. A healer might wear another. Someone entering adulthood could receive special marks. A leader might use a rare pigment collected far away. Even the person who knew how to make the paint may have held important knowledge. You needed to recognize the right mineral, grind it correctly, select a binding ingredient, and understand which design belonged to which moment. Apply the wrong color during the wrong ceremony, and you may have invented the first prehistoric fashion disaster. Body painting could also transform how a person felt. Think about the last time you wore formal clothing, a costume, a uniform, or even a new outfit that made you stand differently. Nothing inside your body physically changed, but your behavior probably did. Clothing and decoration can alter posture, confidence, mood, and the way other people respond to you. Ancient paint may have done something similar. A frightened teenager preparing for a dangerous hunt might feel less like a child once the experienced hunters painted familiar markings onto their skin. A person entering a ceremony might stop feeling like an ordinary individual and begin feeling like an ancestor, animal, spirit, healer, or representative of the entire group. The paint did not need magical chemicals. The meaning itself could create the transformation. Then there is attraction. Humans notice color, symmetry, contrast, and effort. Body painting could draw attention to the face, eyes, muscles, or movements of the wearer. A difficult pattern could also demonstrate patience, skill, access to valuable materials, or strong social connections. That does not prove ancient humans painted themselves specifically to find partners. But across human cultures, appearance and decoration often communicate health, identity, confidence, and social position. So prehistoric body paint may sometimes have said, "Look at me," or perhaps, "Look at me, but also notice that I have enough free time to spend an hour drawing perfect lines on my knees." Paint could communicate emotion too. Different markings may have appeared during celebration, conflict, childbirth, mourning, initiation, or seasonal gatherings. A person's body could change with the event. The same human might look ordinary during daily work, terrifying before a fight, joyful during a dance, and almost unrecognizable during a ritual. This makes the body more than a body. It becomes a message that can be rewritten, and few moments needed a message more than death. Archaeologists have discovered red ochre in prehistoric and later burial contexts. In some societies, pigment was applied to the dead, placed near them, or included with burial objects. Researchers still debate the exact meanings, and those meanings almost certainly differed between communities. Red may have reminded some people of blood, warmth, fire, life, or rebirth. Or it may have meant something completely different that has been lost forever. But covering a dead person in color required effort. Someone had to find the pigment. Someone had to prepare it. Someone had to touch the body and apply it. That act suggests the dead person was not being treated as useless matter. They still had an identity. They still belonged. Even death did not immediately remove them from the group. And ancient humans were not the only ones interested in pigment. Evidence shows that Neanderthals also collected and used red ochre. Archaeologists cannot assign one single purpose to every piece, but the finds challenge the old image of Neanderthals as creatures concerned only with food and shelter. Color mattered to more than one kind of human. That may reveal something important about the evolution of our minds. At some point, humans began living in a world containing two layers. The first layer was physical. A stone was a stone. A body was a body. Red earth was red earth. But the second layer was symbolic. A stone could become a tool. A body could represent a group. And red earth could mean danger, adulthood, beauty, grief, protection, power, or belonging. Once humans could share those meanings, culture became far more powerful. A painted line did not need to stop an animal or cut meat to be useful. It only needed other people to understand it. And we still do this. Sports fans paint their faces before games. Soldiers use camouflage in uniforms. Performers transform themselves with makeup. People wear tattoos, cosmetics, religious markings, wedding clothes, protest colors, and national symbols. We still change the surface of the body to reveal something invisible inside it. Loyalty, grief, belief, status, rebellion, hope. Maybe that is the real reason ancient humans painted themselves. There was probably never one answer. Sometimes the paint protected skin. Sometimes it helped during hunting. Sometimes it made a person attractive or frightening. Sometimes it marked a ceremony, honored the dead, or announced membership in a group. And sometimes, perhaps, humans painted themselves simply because color made life more interesting. But think about this. Long before people painted animals on cave walls, they may have painted stories on their own bodies. Those paintings disappeared every time the skin was washed, the pattern faded, or the person died. So the world's earliest masterpiece may not be waiting inside a cave. It may have walked, hunted, danced, laughed and vanished without leaving a picture behind. An ancient human looking at their reflection in water was not necessarily trying to become more beautiful. They may have been trying to become a hunter, an adult, an ancestor, a protector, or simply a visible part of something larger than themselves. Because the human body may have been our first canvas, but it was also our first uniform, our first passport, and perhaps our first way of saying, "This is who I am."